Welcome back. Twizzy, what's it called, man? What's the name of the episode?
Best of beans, baby.
Best of
Best of
Beans
beans.
Part 3, man. We're finishing up. We just finished up. Rich was talking about um until recently he didn't realize that John took that role of being his daughter's father. And again, man, that's why he's here, and not specifically for that, but just again, the concept of this when we drew it together, all of us. There's no more uh I'm thinking about, and I got a segue, man. Um, with small success, I'm thinking about the conversation we had, me, Rich, and Twizzy, man. Um, but there was someone who kind of stole a quote I did and just cut it in half and posted it without giving credit. And that's cool. That's flattering. But if I just posted it and you did it like a day later, that's my quote. Which is cool. But with that being said, we're just giving, over here at Collective Thought AYN, our job is 100% giving you the respect you deserve, John. The accolades, the trophies for the day.
Thank you.
And again, man, I appreciate you. I'm privileged to associate myself with you. Like I said, I think you were probably the first person to bridge that gap, where I hung out with somebody outside of my neighborhood. You know how discriminatory Brentwood could be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whether it be, geographically from where we live to um, socioeconomically or
Yep.
even ethnically.
Yep.
Brentwood is weird like that, where you can't, if you're outside of Brentwood, you can't say none. But when you're inside of Brentwood, there's still this kind of
Uh-huh.
discrimination amongst sects, so to speak, right?
You
Yeah.
from the east side?
Yeah,
You from the west side?
I mean, we all know Regis Park is the
Stop.
best side, but we're not going to talk about that right now because yeah, we got to respect John.
Regis Park is so bad. They split y'all up into three places because y'all all couldn't be in the same
They
school.
didn't want. They see
Yeah.
that was what they was
It's so
doing.
small too. It's just
They
so weird,
knew.
man.
Yeah.
They
Regis
knew
Park
those
is a
13.
country inside of a
Yeah,
country,
it
inside of
really
a
is. Regis
state.
Park
They
is
couldn't let. They
just,
could not let those 13 blocks all go to the
yeah,
same location
Oh
at the same
man.
time. They
you're
knew
like nah.
that wasn't.
It was like Ray when
They
we were growing up.
knew.
Ray Kelly and Free Ray, by the way. But he was like, I met him. And he's like, we were like 12, and I was wondering why we were going so far because my 18 blocks are here. My
Yeah,
neighbor's
yeah,
18
yeah.
blocks long.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're like crossing and going through the back. I'm like, yo, where we going? Like, oh, he lives on Bradley, whatever. Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, how? And then I didn't know because we're 12 years old. I didn't know that Regis Park. I thought Regis Park was Regis Park. I didn't know it was cut up into, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It's crazy
North
too
side, west side.
because Ray lives at Bradley and Eisenhower. So even
Yeah.
how Regis split up into like three pieces. Like if the closer you are to La Placita is different from the middle piece, which is different from the
Closer to
Eisenhower
Suffolk
side,
Ave
right?
side.
So it's
Yeah.
funny because me and Rich almost live in he's on the block behind me, and we live in almost the same house. You know what I mean? So it's like we almost had the same exact growing up. But if Rich would have lived three houses this way across the street from Nimitz or the other side of Eisenhower, he would have been a totally different kid.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was like
Completely.
crazy, bro.
Then I couldn't have let him in my house, man, because I can't mess with those guys over there.
You would have got. You still would have got stalked. It's all the same thing. At the
And
same.
then Mookie from around my way, and then he moved to Regis. He want to claim he a Regis Park dude, but he not.
He's actually from Southside. He remember he was over there on what is it, Bergen, right? Bergen, that's Southside, right?
Nah, that's my hood.
I thought
Bergen,
Oh,
Prospect, and then it's Caleb's Bergen,
Columbus.
Fulton, and then Prospect, and then Eastern Avenue.
Okay. I thought it was Columbus. Columbus somewhere over there.
Nah, Columbus is the block, yeah, but Columbus is going the other way. It's one of the 18.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
so. Johnny Beans, man. Again, initially at 3 years old, did you already have it in your head that you were gonna kind of? Let me backtrack. So, at what point did you know that you were gonna be like her dad?
Oh,
Think good about this.
it was crazy because I'm just being around fathers that were, and I'm telling you the story now, that were dealing with not being with the mom. I felt it was a necessity that I talked to her dad to explain how my place in her life is going to be or whatever, just to introduce myself. And we kind of knew each other or whatever because we had dealt doing some other things. But yeah, we actually had a talk. She sat me down. She's like, look, I need you to be a little bit more active. And my thing behind that was, well, I need to talk to her dad because I don't feel comfortable doing X, Y, and Z. And she was like, man, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And of course, when I get on the phone and I told the dude, like, hey, straight up, you know, and immediately, I'm going to kill you. I'm like, ah. I said, look, man, we could do all that if you want to do that. But at the end of the day, I respect you as a man and as a father 1,010%. And I want to let you know that I'm not here to step on your toes or to replace you. I just want to let you know that I'm going to be around your daughter. Boom, boom, boom. And whatever you want to do after that's cool. And, you know, I hung up. So, and after that, bro, it was just like a natural thing, man. And shout out to my tati, man, because she made me a whole different person. She made me a man, and that's something I could never, ever, like, man. That it's just like this weird feeling, man. And it's like I don't want to know life without her or being by her. You know, I have no reason to be in Florida. I have no family here.
You know, it's funny that was going to be the end of this episode. You know, in about 5-10, you know, we could talk about it. I think it's great, but I mean, one of the biggest things too when we were talking, you know, everything you have is in New York. You know, your whole support system, and when you decided again, like as a man, and you weren't even together, right, with Tati's mom at that, right? So as a man, you know, you've had, like you said, that connection where I don't want to be without you. And I'm going to pick up my whole life and move to Florida. And again, man, I don't know how you have this mentality or this resiliency to do it. I just think it's phenomenal. I mean, I would do it for my son, but again, and not that Tati's not your daughter, because we all know she is, and everybody in her world knows that, you know, Johnny's, you know, my Johnny, like she says, right? But like I think that's crazy, man. It's and crazy in a good way, like that you have so much love for a little individual. That you would go, how many states is that? 13, 14 states down, right?
It's 11. It's almost 1,200 miles away from home.
Right, 1,200 miles away just to be with this beautiful little girl, man. And again, man, that's why we're here, man. We're proud of you, and you know, you made Rich talk and you made him smile, so you get another trophy for that, man. Now, Richard, you got anything for Johnny?
At the end of the day, Beanz, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like hearing your story and all that, like it's a commendable life that you've led. To see where you're at now, like, I'm pretty sure we could talk offline, but yo, you are definitely doing what you have to do to change your narrative. It's already showing.
Yeah.
It's hard. I know people that are 15, 20 years older than me that argue all day that they'll never leave New York, and you packed it up, left, didn't look back.
I was one of them.
No, that's what I'm saying, and that's one of the hardest things to do, especially when you're going to some place where you don't have that support, even if it's just your people to go out to eat with and talk to, or even be able to see face to face. That takes a lot of work, and that goes to show that kids can make you do some things that you probably never thought in your life, and your daughter was able to get you without telling you to do it.
Absolutely.
Like you just said, you don't see your life without it. And that right there that's 1,000 trophies, because it takes a lot to be able to change your entire life and not look back about what it could have been or based off of things that are going on now, because you know you did it for a reason. And that why is always what keeps it pushing. And I think your why is one of the best. So your trophy for that.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I just want to say, man, listen, I was there from the beginning. You were there, more like you was there from the beginning for me, but I was there from the beginning, you know, with your Tati Wati bear and yeah, that's a throwback. So when she sees it, she's not gonna be mad. But
my mom still calls her Tati Wati.
Yeah, you see, so like I was there from the beginning, and just, you know, pulling up on you guys at the apartment, and you taking her to the park to play, and us going for walks, and, you know, all the conversations that we had, man. And I'm proud to say that I know all you guys. But I'm definitely proud to say that I know you. I'm definitely proud to say that I've seen you grow and develop, and not only see you grow and develop into the man you are, but that helped me grow and develop into the man that I am. I've the same way that you've comforted Joe, I've called you crying, I've called you devastated, you've driven me hurt, you've driven me home a couple times, drove my car, whatever needed to be done, to help me understand better my life and my situation. And again, you're always positive about it, no matter how bad it got, no matter how bad it seemed on your behalf. You still were there to look after the people around you. You were still there to be that positive reinforcement to help people push through their trauma. So I'm giving you a trophy for all those things, man. I appreciate you, brother. And I love you too.
Yo, one last thing. I got it. I don't know if we even said. I'm pretty sure we said that at some point during this, but definitely got to give it to you for being able to absorb and be that person that people can come to, even when you don't do it for yourself. That's probably some of the hardest things. But at the end of the day, you've probably changed more lives than you can think of, whether it was just a call, a message, or something like that. And they may not thank you, but I'll say thank you for them, because at the end of the day,
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
You're doing it from the heart, not just for not for the thank yous.
You know what it is, man. And not to cut you off, and I appreciate all of your praise or whatever. You know who you are, right? So I know that I'm stronger than a lot more other people. Not saying that whoever I told to wasn't strong, but I know that I could give certain parts of myself to other people because I have enough to maintain myself. And it's been a gift, man, for real. It really has been a gift. And I was just blessed, man. Real talk. I was blessed with fortitude. Real talk.
Oh, it's honest, and not knocking anybody. Everybody has a moment where they're weak, and you've always been that person that people can go to help them get back to who they are. That takes a lot, because a lot of times people absorb what other people are going through, and then it affects them. Like the fact that you're able to help people and keep pushing and then check in to make sure they're still good. That's a talent. And you're right. That's a gift that many people don't have. Keep using it to your ability, best of your abilities, because
appreciate it, man.
People need it. You know what I'm saying? People definitely need it.
And for the viewers out there, our podcast isn't to get it or glorify certain things, but let's get it real clear, man. Our boy Johnny, man, he was in them streets. So I've seen him, getting his hustle on. His life could have been completely different. And even an addiction, and I don't mean addiction to specifically drugs, but addiction to fast money is a very hard thing to kind of grow up and mature from. And at some point, me and Johnny never had problems. That's my brother from since I think I first met him. But there were certain points where kind of, and not that I was disappointed, but I know Johnny. He's still capable of so much more. He's one of the most intelligent, personable people I know, and I think it was kind of miscommunicated sometimes. I just want the best for him, and I know that he's capable of so much more. But let's be clear, viewers. John was in those streets, and that's another reason to give. Before we close out, just having the ability, like I said, fast money is fast money, and that's why we call it fast money, because it comes easy, it comes quick, and that's a very difficult thing to break, whether it be whatever your hustle is. Again, that's not for this podcast, but to be mature enough to just go to work regularly, and it'll all fall into place. And I think your positivity, all three of us have said the same thing.
Just
go ahead.
Not to cut you off, if there's any young people out there that are watching this that are into those things, it doesn't last forever. It's definitely how you say, I just had the words.
It comes with its consequences, right?
It comes with consequences, and it's much harder to be a civilian working a 9-to-5 than it is to be in the streets. It's much more, but it's the rewards, the moral rewards afterward are just way better. I've seen people. And I know this is not that podcast, but I'm just saying if there's anybody young out there.
Sure, no, that's perfect.
Talk to them. Because somebody.
I've seen people make $100,000 and spend $70,000 to keep themselves out of jail.
Yep.
I've seen people that made $4,000 or $5,000 a week uh, go to prison and come back, and they have a record now that don't have any education. A friend of mine, I'm not going to say his name now. Thank God, he's always been smart. He had a Fortune 500 mind, but almost altogether 8 years in prison. He's one of the few that was able to, make six figures now yearly. But it's not for everybody, man. And I see a lot of young kids now. It's bad, man. My godson right now, he's locked up for attempted murder over drugs. You can only do so much, man, and it's really not worth it. It's really not. And I was fortunate enough to do it and leave it alone, dabble in it. But my daughter is my saving grace. She made me want to be the absolute best human being in the world, even if even it meant me not having X, Y, and Z. Me and my mother joke about it. I told my mother everything. She calls it the good days. But it's definitely not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Having my daughter, being able to be here, providing for her, being able to just work and live, not having to watch my back from people, from cops, and way worth it. Way worth it. So shout out to the regular guys. All of us now. All the civilians.
Well, that's if you look at Rich, I know you haven't seen Rich's episode, but if you go back to Rich's episode, part of it, and things evolve, and I think that's just what's awesome about this podcast. People in general, evolution is the key. But part of what we and Rich kind of wanted was to give that blueprint of how kids can still make $100,000 a year. Like, you don't have to sell drugs. You don't have to rob people. You don't have to, there's such dumb schemes out there now. You don't have to scam people. You know what I mean?
I know my best friend, and for another podcast, and we talked about him, makes six figures a year in a union.
Yeah. Yeah,
you could make six figures a year just knowing. I know people that have
I'm in a union
around that do real estate, Twizzy, Twizzy, you know what I'm saying?
And that's the key, John. Like given this, like Rich said, talk to him. I mean, we have a daily conversation. Me and Rich grew up with 5 or 6 kids that we every single day were together, and some of the people in this cohort of family that just don't get it, and I've seen Rich kind of attempt to give them some talking to, but I'm gonna give a gem out there, but sometimes people's biggest obstacles is their own mentality. You know what I mean? And what I want right now in life, we talked about that earlier, me and you, John, we talked about it personally, but like my peace is worth more than anything right now. And if you're threatening my mental peace, I can't be around you, I can't date you, I can't associate myself with you, because right now at my age, that's all I want is to have peace with everything. Like everything, it shouldn't be all three of you. I don't have that relationship where someone's texting me about what you said because I mentioned something on a podcast. Like, that's irrelevant. Like, that's not what the podcast is for. We're friends. We're supposed to be organically connected to each other. With all three of you, I don't have that. There's no opportunities where my peace is taken away from me. And once we realize that, like I said, our mentality is our biggest obstacle, that's when you can change. That's when you can evolve. That's when you can alter your narrative, right, Johnny? And I love the fact that you already answered the question before we close out. But you said, like, as soon as I had Tati, and you knew, like, when you knew, then that changed your whole life, because every decision you need to make as a parent affects your child. And if you're not doing everything, and I do mean everything, and I say this to new parents all the time, I say it to patients all the time, but everything I do, literally, from what I eat, if I'm working out for the day, where I'm working out, how I'm driving, I always think about Joey. Will this affect Joey? Right? And a lot of the times, people think it's weird. Oh, you won't do this? That's so weird. I'm like, I can't do that. I have a son. Oh, but he's not even with you. It doesn't matter because what I do today, even when he's not around, has a direct correlation of his lifespan. And I think you figured that out, Johnny. Like I said, man, and I joked around, but let's be clear. John's been in there, right? John's rubbed his elbow with many, many bad men, right? Um,
Many, many bad
but
John,
with
would you
that being said, man,
hold on. Let's not end it just yet.
okay, let's go. Let's keep it moving.
Just the last piece. Saying you were saying that you were speaking to the youth, but I'm gonna be honest with you. There's some people in our age group that need to hear the same conversation. Like they need to listen to it. You know what I'm saying? I know you want to push it to the youth, but we got some people that we need to speak to in our age group that need to get it together because it doesn't last forever, and we ain't getting no younger.
It doesn't last forever, and it doesn't. And yes, we aren't getting any younger. But Rich, unfortunately, can't teach an old dog new tricks, man. So if they haven't learned it already, you gotta
pray for them.
Pray for them, man.
But you know, it's I think a lot of times that having these conversations with people like Beanz, and you know what I'm saying, and it's giving people that don't think they can switch up and still be successful. You know what I'm saying?
You have to want to do it. I'm not successful.
That's what I wanted you to say right there. You have to want it. That's all.
You have to want it. You have to want it. You have to know that there's going to be hard times. Yep. You're going to have to know that you can't have, the Audi A8 and the Amiri jeans and what I mean, X, Y, and Z. It's not there no more. You understand?
That's what I wanted to do. That's what
my mom loved our shopping sprees. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? My mom loved them. But
Johnny, I mean, it's funny though, but like for Rich, man, like Rich, there's a few people who never gave up on Rich, so he has a social obligation to not give up on certain people. But my I have a good friend, a colleague that I worked with last year, Dr. D. Shouts to Dr. D. But he did, and I bring this up in another podcast, but he did this, his dissertation on high schoolers who are at risk for suicide and develop these resiliency skills. And I would love to analyze, is that inbred within you? Like, do we all have the same resiliency skills, and where did it come from? Or can that be taught? Like Rich said, Rich is good like that. There's certain people who I hate to admit it, but I'm like, they're never going to change. I'm like Johnny.
I pose this question to the people, right? If we're a product of our environment, that's what we deem ourselves to be, because the same happened in Regis Park that happened on Fulton. You know what I'm saying? You see people that are getting it, and you want that. If you know what I'm saying, you don't have it. I grew up with McGregor sneakers. I ain't have Nikes growing up until my mom could afford whatever she had to do for them. I used to put layaway at what's that spot on Brentwood Road?
Marty's.
Oh,
the throwback, man.
Yeah, real talk. We used to do. I used to put the boss stuff on layaway.
Twiz, you don't know about that, Twiz. You're way too young, bro.
I don't know anything about that. That's why I didn't say anything.
Yeah. But if you could be a product of your environment and you could do the bad things, right? Why can't you take those same principles and apply them to something else?
And that's the stigma. A lot of people think that when you say I'm a product of my environment, it has to be negative. It's like at the end of the day, we're all products of our environment right now, today. It all depends on how your story goes to where you're at in that book right now of life. Yep. There's no such thing as like, oh, I'm a product of my environment. Like we use it as an escape sometimes, but there's also a success story in there too. Like I always say, I'm a product of my environment, no matter how it's looked at. You know what I'm saying? Because I know where I came from to where I'm at now. So if you put me in the person
product of your environment doesn't have to necessarily, like Rich said, doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing, because you can take the negative and turn it into a positive.
Right, so let me pose this question to all three of you. Like, how have we gained and I'm going to say it's a positive thing, right? So how have we gained the positive attribute of utilizing what we went through and using it as a positive way, right? So for me, like I talked about in the beginning of this podcast, my goal every day as a dad is to be nothing like my dad. But then we have people our age and even older that will say, oh, it's because I had a bad dad. That's why I can't do anything. That's why my life's horrible like that. So now what is the factor that two people, same exact thing that they went through, I use it as a springboard to be better, and they use it as a way to kind of make an excuse?
Great question, because I wondered that myself, so I couldn't even be the one to answer that
I don't think
because
I don't think there's an answer with that.
yeah, there is no answer.
Yeah, that's hard because I'm sitting here, thinking about it, and I was gonna say initially I was gonna start and say, you know what, there's certain things that are traumatic to us that we deal with that kind of bends the will, and then at some point your will gets bent to the point where it breaks, or it gets bent to the point where you start to fight back. That was what I was starting off with. But then we all may essentially have the will to fight back. So even if we break, does it get repaired? So I think there's multiple layers. I think there's multiple layers to that question and to that answer. That's a rough one, but I do think personally, whatever that answer is has something to do with willpower. With willpower,
it has everything to do with willpower. It has everything to do with who you want yourself to be.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? I know who I am. Nobody can tell me who I am. I know exactly who I am. I portray to my family, my friends. I portray it to myself, portray to my daughter. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know who they are. Some people are still perpetrating a fraud, unfortunately, even at our age.
Yeah.
So
you're
I'm not
saying
putting on a show for anybody.
So you're saying
really
their dramaturgy is at a high level? Is that what you're saying?
Their dramaturgy is just they're winning Oscars.
Yep.
Great. You know, Beanz, one of the things too, like I said, I think you were the when we were initially doing this podcast and I was super excited and I called you and Twizzy up, and then it eventually evolved something different. You were the most understanding, and I think you understood what was going on, that things change, and it's not that it's not your time. It's just now's your time, right? So I just wanted to, officially give you your AYN wings, your golden wings. From this day forward, you'll be Johnny Beanz AYN. I really would like to do, another, we only have a few minutes left. But I would like to do another conversation with all four of us, and that's the thing, right? So after you earn your AYN wings, you're part of the podcast, and you'll be on multiple episodes. But I would love to show you the research findings on the dissertation that my friend did, and show you those resiliency factors. Because quite honestly, I think we all have those factors. And that's what's interesting is that, when we do social science, right? So whether it's psychology, sociology, there are people who get lots and lots and lots of monies to do research to make sure behavior is predictable, or at least attempt to predict kind of behavior. So I think that's part of my goal too. And I tell you all know, and I said on the first podcast, but eventually I want to get my doctorate, and I know Rich will get his doctorate because that's just how he rolls too. You know what I'm saying? But my goal is to kind of find those things where I could do a research and figure out how we can kind of instill these resiliency factors into people, and why we have it and other people don't do it. And if we do have it and they don't have it, then how can we give it to them so then everyone can be successful as well? So I would love to have you back, Beanz AYN, again, man. I want to give you a trophy.
I had fun, man. I love this.
Yeah, man.
Nice conversation.
I mean, one of the very tricky things about podcasts in general, man, is people have to have the ability to respect each other and know when to talk and when not to talk. And a lot of times, when me Twizzy, and Rich want to interview somebody, there are apprehensions with some people, and it's not anybody specific, but topic specifically, they have to, kind of let us kind of melt them into where we want to go, because there's certain things we want to talk about. But we appreciate you, man. We love you again, man. Beanz AYN, man. 3-part series. What is it, Twiz?
Man, it's the best of Beanz.
Best
and
of
also,
Beanz,
I want to say real quick, just for anybody that's tuning in and viewing, please make sure you follow us on Instagram at Collective Thought AYN. Please like us on Facebook at Collective Thought AYN, and we are on Spotify for anybody that wants to be a part
and
of
Google Play, man. Rich got it on Google Play too, man.
Yeah, that's the next thing. Google Play as well.
Okay.
And of course on YouTube. So I Collective Thought AYN. So please make sure you follow us. Please interact. We would love the engagement, and we're here for you anytime.
All right, guys. Listen again, Beans. Thank you for taking time out. You're looking
Thank you
super
for having me. Thank
You're
you for
looking
having me.
super Latino back there with the lights behind you.
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Yo, John, do me a favor, man. Press pause on your thing so we can see your professional
Hold on.
picture.
How you for us?
I don't know how you did it last
Just
time, man.
stop your camera real quick.
Oh, right here.
And that's the man I saw at Applebee's.
There he is, man. There he is, yo, John, man. Thank you for being, like I said, thank you for taking out the time today. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for letting me, kind of give the world some of your more personal stuff. I appreciate you as a friend. You're my brother. I love you. And I'm so proud that you're the dad you are today, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to know people like y'all, to actually know y'all and to call you my friends. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.
All right, guys, we're heading out. The best of Beans. Have a good night, fellas.
All right.